The phone rang at 6:47 a.m. A shrill scream slicing through the quiet of my morning coffee. I ignored it, letting the steam from my mug curl around my face, the bitter aroma grounding me. Outside, the neighborhood was still, save for the faint hum of sprinklers and the occasional bark of a dog. But I knew who it was before I even checked the caller ID. Karen. Always Karen. Her voice, sharp as a knife's edge, had been haunting my voicemail for weeks, demanding I hand over the keys to my own damn house. It's not yours anymore, she'd hissed in her last message, her tone dripping with that smug certainty she wore like a badge. The HOA owns it now. You're trespassing. Trespassing. On my own property. The word burned in my chest as I set the mug down, the ceramic clinking against the countertop. I'd bought this house 5 years ago, poured every cent of my savings into it, sanded the floors myself until my hands bled, planted the roses that now bloomed crimson along the fence. And now Karen, queen of the Willow Creek HOA, claimed it was hers because of some fine print I'd supposedly missed. Bullshit. I wasn't giving her a thing. The doorbell buzzed, insistent, like a wasp trapped in a jar. I didn't move. Not yet. I could picture her out there, her peroxide blonde bob stiff with hairspray, her lips pursed into that thin, judgmental line. She'd been gunning for me since I moved into many complaints about my unkempt lawn, my unapproved mailbox, my very existence as a single woman who didn't bow to her clipboard tyranny. But this was war. I cracked the door open, just enough to see her standing there, arms crossed, her navy blazer screaming, "I'm in charge." Her eyes narrowed, glinting like polished marbles. "Ellie, I'm not playing games," she snapped. "Hand over the keys. The HOA foreclosed on your property last week. You're done here." My stomach twisted, but I forced a laugh, low and bitter. "Foreclosed. Karen, you can't just waltz up and claim my house because you don't like my azaleas. Show me the paperwork." Her face flushed, a blotchy red creeping up her neck. "It's all legal. You didn't pay the fines. You violated the covenants. I warned you." She thrust a manila envelope at me, her manicured nails catching the morning light. I didn't take it. Instead, I leaned against the doorframe, letting the silence stretch, heavy as the humid air clinging to my skin. "Karen," I said, my voice steady despite the rage simmering beneath it. "You don't own this street. You don't own me. And you sure as hell don't own my house." That's when she pulled out her phone, her fingers trembling with righteous fury. "Fine," she spat. "I'm calling 911. You're trespassing, and I'll have you removed." The world tilted. My heart pounded, a dull thud in my ears. But I didn't flinch. I shut the door, the click echoing like a gunshot, and leaned against it, my breath shallow. Outside, I heard her voice, shrill and commanding, barking into the phone about a dangerous squatter. Dangerous. Me. The woman who baked cookies for the neighbor kids, who left her porch light on for late-night dog walkers. I slid down to the floor, the cool wood pressing against my palms, and closed my eyes. This wasn't just about keys or a house. This was about power, and Karen had been drunk on it for too long. The cops arrived 20 minutes later, their cruiser pulling up with a lazy crunch of gravel. I watched through the window as Karen gestured wildly, her arms flailing like a conductor directing a symphony of chaos. 2 officers, one young with a buzz cut, the other older with a tired slump to his shoulders, listened as she ranted. I stepped onto the porch, my bare feet cold against the concrete, and crossed my arms. "Morning, officers," I said, my voice calm but laced with steel. "What's this about?" The older cop, his badge reading SGT, Malone, sighed, the sound heavy with years of dealing with people like Karen. "Ma'am, we got a call about a property dispute. She says you're refusing to vacate." Karen cut in, her voice piercing. "She's a squatter. The HOA owns this property now. I have the documents." She waved the envelope like a flag of victory. I raised an eyebrow, my pulse steadying. "Officers, I've got my deed, my mortgage papers, everything. This is my home." "She's lying." Malone's eyes flicked between us, his expression unreadable. "Let's see the paperwork," he said, his tone flat. Karen thrust the envelope at him, her smile smug. I went inside, my hands shaking as I pulled my files from the kitchen drawer, the scent of old paper and ink grounding me. When I handed them over, Malone skimmed through both sets, his brow furrowing. "This HOA document doesn't hold up," he said finally, his voice low but firm. "It's a notice of intent, not a foreclosure. You don't have legal claim to this property, ma'am." He looked at Karen, whose mouth opened, then snapped shut. "That's impossible," she shrieked, her voice cracking. "I've been running this HOA for 10 years. I know the rules." The younger cop, who'd been silent, shifted his weight, his radio crackling softly. "Ma'am, you need to calm down," he said, but Karen was already spiraling, her hands clenched into fists. That's when the unexpected happened. A beat-up pickup truck rolled up, tires squealing as it parked crookedly across 2 spaces. Out stepped Mrs. Delgado, the elderly widow from down the street, her silver hair pulled into a tight bun, her eyes blazing. She'd always been quiet, tending her garden, waving shyly as I passed. But now, she stormed toward us, her cane tapping the ground like a war drum. "Karen," she bellowed, her voice carrying the weight of decades. "You think you can pull this nonsense again?" The cops froze, and even Karen faltered, her bravado flickering. Mrs. Delgado turned to me, her gaze softening. "Ellie, I heard her on the phone this morning. She's been trying to scare people out of their homes for years. Did it to the Millers in 18, the Chins in 20. Forged documents, fake fines. She's a bully with a printer." My jaw dropped, the air thick with the scent of Mrs. Delgado's lavender perfume and the faint tang of exhaust from the truck. "You're kidding," I whispered, but the pieces clicked into place. The complaints, the fines, the endless letters, they weren't just about control. They were a scam. Karen's face drained of color, her lips trembling. "That's a lie," she sputtered, but her voice wavered, thin and brittle. Malone's eyes narrowed, and he turned to her, his tone sharp. "Ma'am, we're going to need to see your HOA records. All of them." The crowd had grown now, neighbors peeking from windows, some stepping onto their lawns, drawn by the commotion. The air buzzed with whispers, the rustle of leaves, the distant hum of a lawnmower. Karen's empire was crumbling, and she knew it. She clutched her phone, her knuckles white, and for a moment, I almost pitied her. Almost. "I'm not the criminal here," she screamed, her voice raw, desperate. "She's the one breaking the rules. She's..." "Enough." Malone cut her off, his voice like gravel. "You're coming with us to sort this out. And if what this lady says is true..." He glanced at Mrs. Delgado, who stood tall despite her cane, her eyes fierce. "You're in a lot of trouble." The younger cop guided Karen toward the cruiser, her protests fading into a pathetic whine. I stood there, my heart pounding, the weight of the moment sinking in. My home was still mine, but it wasn't just about the house anymore. It was about standing up, about fighting back against someone who thought they could take everything just because they had a title and a loud voice. Mrs. Delgado placed a hand on my arm, her touch warm and steady. "You did good, Ellie," she said softly, her voice carrying the faintest tremor of pride. "We all should have spoken up sooner." I nodded, my throat tight, the scent of roses drifting from my garden. "Thank you," I whispered, and for the first time that morning, I let out a long, shaky breath. The neighborhood felt alive again, the birds chirping, the sprinklers hissing, the world turning as it should. As the cruiser pulled away, Karen's silhouette slumped in the back seat. I turned back to my house. The sun was higher now, painting the walls in golden light. I stepped inside, the familiar creak of the floorboards welcoming me home. Justice wasn't just in the law, it was in the truth breaking free, in the courage of a neighbor who'd had enough, in the quiet strength of holding your ground. I picked up my coffee mug, the ceramic warm against my palms, and smiled. This was my home, and no one, not Karen, not anyone, was taking it from me.